Hello, this is James Moore, Kilo Golf 7 Victor Echo India with the Washington County ARES. I'm the new ARES Emergency Coordinator here in Washington County, and I'd like to just review a quick plan of how I'd like to proceed in the year 2019. The goal is to have more ham radio operators prepared, participating, and having fun. As I've researched out what the ARES was all about, the ARRL formed ARES originally as a volunteer organization to provide communications for government agencies, disaster relief organizations, public service events, emergencies and or disasters, and to participate in training exercises. The goal of ARES is to help every ARES group to provide training for hams in message handling, communications technology, the administrative procedures that are out there, and disaster preparedness. Why do we have Washington County ARES? Basically, as the mission of ARES is, the Amateur Radio Emergency Service, ARES, consists of licensed amateurs who have voluntarily registered their qualifications and equipment with their local ARES leadership for communications duty and public service when disaster strikes. That's what we're here for. That's the goal this year, is to help as many individuals with radio licenses in Washington County to volunteer and receive the training they need to be able to help out in case a disaster strikes. Without any sort of organization in place, chaos will likely ensue and happen, and we'll have what's called ham soup, where everybody that's got a radio or a Baofeng tucked away will try and get on the air, and it will make things really difficult for those messages that need to get through. So my goal is to help educate as many hams in Washington County as far as the county's emergency plan, ARES part in that, and how we can be a help, not a hindrance, in the event of an emergency. There's also, Washington County ARES is here to help learn and teach each other what to do and how we can serve the local agencies that we have agreements with to serve when they have communication needs. And a lot of times this is going to involve us educating the agencies on how we can help out. And once we have our hams trained, we can go to them and let them know even more how we can help out in times of need. We're going to start this year with a new team style organization. They're going to be called Community Response Teams, or CRTs. They're going to be organized by geographical area. Each team will have a team leader, 2 assistant team leaders, and various members. Each member of ARES will be assigned to a CRT that serves in the area where they live, unless they want to be part of the EOC team, which they can be volunteer to be part of the main net control team also. The community response team's locations are going to be at the EOC. The St. George West team will be I-15 West and Southgate North in that quadrant of St. George. The St. George East team will be east of I-15. St. George Sun River Bloomington team will be south of Southgate and cover that area, which is mainly west of I-15. We'd like to have a Santa Clara Ivans Gunlock team that will also help cover the 2 dams that are up above those areas and help us be able to monitor those in the event of emergency. We'll also have a team from Enterprise Central and Pine Valley. They'll be able to get us information from further north. We'll have a Washington team covering Washington and Washington Fields, and the east side of the river there. We'll also have a Hurricane Laverque and Springdale team. This team will be able to work together so that they'll know how to relay messages in from the Springdale area and some of the high water areas that are up there in case of a flood or other event that may happen. We'll have the Hilldale Apple Valley team, which will also need to work with Hurricane to be able to get relays in. And we'll have a New Harmony Leads team. The New Harmony Leads team will work on to see how we can be able to get information in from the New Harmony area, which is part of Washington County, as needed. So that's where the community response teams are, and we hope that we're able to get enough interest in all those areas to get these 10 teams functioning. If we need to, we may combine them down a little bit in the meantime, but I'd like to start with this as a goal. The goal is to make this easy to become part of. Advantages of these community response teams is you'll be able to train and serve in your area. There'll be less traveling and more flexibility in training schedules because it's a smaller group of people and they'll be able to train together in their own area. You'll be able to train and get to know those hams in your own area and be friends with them, and which is important in the event of an emergency to be able to pull together with those that are close to you. The smaller groups will facilitate a more focused training on what the group's needs are. We'll be able to build relationships with those local community leaders, especially in the smaller towns, and let them know what we can offer and how we can assist them through the county emergency plan and through their own city plans. And it'll also allow us to serve as smaller groups for local community events, which are there that we can help out with. There's a lot of opportunities that ARES members could, and these small community response teams could help out with in day-to-day life of the community. Each community response team, as we said earlier, will consist of a community response team leader, 2 assistant response team leaders, and the actual team members. Ideally, I'd like to have 12 members on each of these teams. Yes, that's kind of a pie in the sky number right now with who we have on the rolls, but I think we'll need to go out and recruit our fellow hams in order to participate, and with the simple training and plan that we've got, I think we'll be able to get more members to participate. So, community response team leader responsibilities. Each community team response team leader will be responsible for maintaining a roster of the ARES members in their assigned community zone and what their capabilities are. They'll be responsible to conduct a monthly simplex net with those team members. I've scheduled those currently during the second week of every month at a time that works for those team members. They need to get together and figure out what works. An evening, a morning, Saturday, whatever's going to work for them. They can have that simple net and a little bit of training that goes with that we'll talk about later. They'll also be encouraged to help all team members to complete the Washington County ARES basic training requirements we'll cover in a few minutes. They'll be responsible to build relationships with the community leaders in their assigned zones, mayors, police chiefs, fire chiefs, other community leaders. Be responsible to help assist with the amateur radio presentations for preparedness fairs and team communities in those zones. And they'll need to identify, as we go on, they'll need to identify areas of concern in their zone and formulate plans how to address those. Dams, key bridges, other infrastructure that may, in an earthquake or flood, have problems and need to be monitored. And then we will include their solutions to that in the Washington County Communications Plan. Okay, the assistant community response team leaders is basically there to help the community response team leader in all those above-mentioned responsibilities. They can divide that up among themselves, how they see fit and what their talents are. And then the community response team members, all ARES members, this is basically what we're expecting them to participate in. A monthly ERC, Washington County ARES Radio Net, which will be held the first Wednesday evening at 7:30 of each month. They'll need to just figure out how to get on that net. If it's not available, we may have an alternate net for those that are not available on Wednesday evenings. They'll also need to participate, for the most part, in as many of the community response team's simplex nets and trainings as they can. They should be easy to attend, kept short, sweet, to the point, because our goal is to hone our skills to be able to use the radio and communicate. And following that, along with those lines, we need to help them every team member to complete the new ARES basic training guidelines. Let's talk about these community response team simplex nets. Basically, to do those, the net control will give an introduction. Stations will check in. They'll have a quick discussion about the training video that was sent out to members that month. Most training will be via video, similar to this, in the coming year. They'll take time to at least practice one ICS 213 message transmission and report it on their logs. And then whoever's net control will need to let the ARES leadership know that the net happened, who attended, on the ARES website, what I'm calling the membership portal, which we'll have there. And eventually, I believe we'll be able to add this into the ARES Connect, which the National ARES is rolling out in the next few months. Now let's go over the training goals. I want to focus on being simple and focused on what we're doing. The goal for this year is to establish skills with every ARES member to be able to communicate messages through voice, and down the road, as we have some more infrastructure and other things in place, we will do a little bit of training for those that are interested on the digital side. But for now, we're going to focus on voice. So the training goals are to help all members of Washington County ARES to feel confident in their abilities to pass message traffic in an emergency or at a public service event. We need to help all of our Washington County members to assemble their Go kits so that they're able to serve in the event that they're called out to an emergency or a public service event, and help every Washington County member, ARES member, to understand their role in the incident command structure so we can better serve alongside our served agencies. There is a command structure in place through the ICS system, or Incident Command System, and that is what the county uses. We need to train in that. We'll go over that in a second. So the actual training requirements are to complete the interest form on the Washington County ARES website and complete the new ARES Connect profile once that becomes available after the first of the year. Next thing is to complete the Washington County volunteer application and background check. We'll be called upon to serve in shelters and other locations. Because of that nature, they would like us to go through a background check so they know who we are and what's being dealt with. And I know if my family, wife and kids were staying in a shelter, I'd like to know that those that are there volunteering to serve from the county as volunteers would be able to pass a background check. It's just something that's a good practice. The other thing, we'll need to have them join up with a community response team, which once they fill out that interest form, we'll connect them with those leaders. Everybody needs to complete the ICS online classes, which are FEMA ICS 100, 200, 700, and 800. I've personally fought this over the years. I didn't understand the importance of it until I actually started through them. This shows us how we can better work with our served agencies and understand their command structure and where we fit inside that. It's pretty easy to go through these classes. It's just a matter of taking the time to sit down and do those online. And if we need to, if there's enough interest, we could do a group class where we could sit down and go through them all in one morning and get them out of the way. So we'll address that at a later time if anyone's interested. Next thing people need to do as part of their training requirements is have a printout of their Washington County ARES procedures and forms binder. This revision is coming forth. We should have this ready for you for the first part of February. This will have radio frequencies, the procedures in a call out, and the various forms that we'll use in the event of an emergency, along with some maps so that you can see where the repeaters are and best understand, what we think we can do to get some messages through in the event we have to go simplex. The next goal is to help everybody to successfully pass 5 ICS 213 messages via simplex VHF, and to be able to fill out the ICS 214 log that goes with those messages. Our goal is to do this with another CR team member near us. It can be done one message a week over a couple weeks, following other nets or involved however they want to do that. The goal is to feel confident in passing a message via voice and be able to do it over the simplex VHF. Final thing is assemble your Go kit. This will be an ongoing part of the training, but have a written list of what your Go kit contains, what kind of 72-hour kit type preparations you have, and how you can be deployed so that you're ready to deploy if and when we do get called out. Now let's go over my quick personal vision for ARES. At this point, I see ARES as the communications go-to people for emergency communications in the county. Because of that, moving forward, I'd like to see the CRT teams organized and functioning by February for the county ERCnet. Even if we're starting with 3 people on each team, we need to start, get going, and move forward. Everybody's going to need to do their part to make this happen. We don't need to sit around and say how things should be done. Let's just jump in, be part of our CRT teams, and be part of the solution to getting organized. My goal is to be able to have all these CRT teams participate in the Great Shakeout exercise on April 18th. Even if it's just simply that team members are able to check in at the beginning of an InfoNet for a few minutes because of work or other commitments. Hopefully you can take 10 minutes at that assigned time, jump out and check in, or even later, if you have a break at work, do that. Be able to check in and just say, hey, I've been able to do that. I've found that most employers, for a short time on that day, if you've educated them about what the Great Shakeout is, they're happy to let you have a few minutes to participate. If we don't have enough individuals who will be able to participate on the 18th, we'll move that exercise to the following Saturday and be able to participate in a larger scale event that day and train better. So that's the goal, to have these CRT place up and functioning by February and be able to have our first really good exercise in April. I believe in taking baby steps a little bit at a time every week, and we can get there. Now, I would also like to see our CRT teams participate in more events. In the coming year, we'll have calendared events for individuals to participate in as a joint effort between the Dixie Amateur Radio Club and the Washington County Aries Group. There's the St. George Marathon that we participate in. Many of us participate in each year. There's various half marathons and other races that can be participated in. And as there's more interest, I think these are great opportunities for us to go out and serve. And even some of the smaller towns have parades and other things. These can be, we can help with that, just, simply communicating from the beginning to the end and working through, some basic checkpoints along the way, letting the parade organizers know where people are. There's all sorts of methods or ways and opportunities out there to serve if we're willing to. Finally, kind of wrapping up, just to remember that Washington County Aries is simply a group of volunteers that have registered their talents, skills, and equipment with an organization to be available to be called out if there's a time of communication needs. We're changing the structure over to community response teams. Each of us needs to step up and do our part to help out our area community response team and be part of the solution and assistance there. Each of us needs to take the time to complete this basic training. I think this basic training really, if we put our minds into it, can all be completed by the 1st of March with everybody on the community response teams that are currently involved in Aries. I'd say about half of the people from the records I have completed 90% of this training. And then let's each do our part to participate in events and the exercises in the coming year. As of the January meeting that we'll have as a big group, I will have calendars and other stuff for the year so we can plan for those exercises and know how we can participate. So again, moving forward, let's get prepared to be able to be part of the solution in a disaster and even with community events. Let's all participate and let's have fun. Spelling fun, PH, just because it's fun to do that. But let's go out there and do these 3 Ps. Prepare, participate, and have fun. Again, this is James Moore, KG7VEI, the new Washington County Aries Emergency Coordinator. I appreciate you taking the time to watch this video today and hope that you'll all be able to participate fully in Aries and recruit other hams in your area to join these community response teams. And we'll go from there. You can let me know via email if there's any questions about this, or we'll quickly review this at the next meeting this coming Saturday. Thank you for your time, and